Maurice Taylor Sr., 34 years old, worked as a personal trainer in Santa Monica, California. He gave training sessions online using Zoom. He also worked at a physical therapy center remotely. Maurice was married to 44-year-old Natalie Sumilo Brothwell. The couple lived at the 45,000 block of Century Circle in Lancaster, California. Lancaster, California, is located in northern Los Angeles County, in the western Mojave Desert's Antelope Valley, in Southern California. It's about 70 miles north of downtown Los Angeles. It has a population of under 200,000 citizens. The couple had 4 children. 13-year-old Madalina Taylor, 12-year-old Maurice Taylor Jr., and 2 younger children, ages 8 and 9, who will remain unnamed due to privacy reasons. Natalie's mother, Deborah Brothwell, was pushed out of her daughter and grandchildren's lives by what she described on her Facebook as a controlling son-in-law. On her Facebook page she made numerous pleas for any information about the welfare of her grandchildren. On November 29 in 2020 Maurice stabbed Madalina, and Maurice Jr. then decapitated the 2 children. He then showed the bodies to his 2 younger children and forced them into their bedrooms where they remained without food for 5 days. The children were too scared to leave their bedroom. When Maurice failed to conduct his training classes, people began calling the police station to report something was wrong. Someone finally called in believing there was a possible carbon monoxide poisoning at that home. When the fire department arrived, and made entry into their home, they found a male and female child deceased in the home. It was apparent that the children were murdered. Fire personnel called the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department in Lancaster. Deputies quickly responded and secured the home. The 2 younger children, and both Maurice and Natalie, were all inside the home. The 2 younger male children were transported by ambulance to a nearby hospital as a precaution. Maurice was quickly taken into custody. He was uncooperative, and had to be transported on a stretcher. He was held at the Los Angeles County Jail on a suspicion of murder. Lieutenant Brandon Dean, a spokesman for the sheriff's office, said the slain children were found in separate bedrooms of the home. To his knowledge, the family did not have a history with the County Department of Children and Family Services. The Department of Children and Family Services said in a statement, "We mourn with the community over this tragic loss." Investigators interviewed Natalie, the children's mother, and both of the younger children. Natalie was released. When Maurice was brought before the court for his arraignment, he told the judge that other inmates were trying to kill him, and he was an educated fitness trainer, which is equal to being a doctor. He refused being appointed an attorney, and claimed he was not guilty. He faces 2 felony counts of murder and child abuse causing great bodily injury or death. Let's listen to the court hearing.
I have some doubt about Mr. Taylor, so I would just, I don't know how the court wants to handle that.
We're declaring a doubt as to his ability to understand the nature of the proceedings and to be able to assist you in the defense.
Just at this point in time, so that's why I'm just offering that to the court in terms of your discussion with Mr. Taylor about his representation.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Mr. Taylor, you understand that counsel is present and prepared to assist you and represent you in this case going forward. He's a trained attorney and understands the rules of practice, constitutional rights of people, and the things that need to be done to adequately prepare a defense to make your appearances productive for you.
I understand exactly what you're saying, Your Honor, that it's against my faith to go against what God is telling me to do, and God is telling me that I need to represent myself and his matter. So it's going against my faith to do so. To God. And I really do believe in God, and I have a really good relationship with God, and I'm going to represent myself, and I feel really disrespected that the council won't respect my decision. Because I've told you this before in person, and he's not telling me the truth.
So just to clarify, I have had a discussion, I thought everything was fine, Your Honor, in terms of my representation of them, I confronted the stand. But I do respect this decision, and I'll let the court inquire however you want to.
Well, counsel, if you have a doubt, then I'd like to make a little inquiry to see whether we should have that explored further. Mr. Taylor, you say that God talked to you?
It's just my faith in God. So it's not necessarily that he's talking to me. It's just with my faith, I believe that I'm innocent in this case, and I don't need legal representation to prove that I'm innocent. And if I go against that, I'm going against my faith. Because I'm putting my name in God in this position to show the jury and the judge that I'm innocent. And if I hire counsel, then that's going against my faith in God. Because God says that God's going to take care of me because I'm innocent.
Well, sir, if you represent yourself in a case, you would ultimately be held to the same standards as an attorney in terms of appearing in court and following the rules of criminal procedure and going forward with making all your own decisions about how to conduct proceedings, including a trial at some point, perhaps. And that is something where the consequences of a conviction in a case like this are rather severe. And you need to understand that the attorneys that assist people all the time in the courts have that training and have the ability to give good advice. If you represent yourself, the one ground for appeal that you do not have if you go to trial and lose, you cannot say that you had a bad lawyer because you would be your own lawyer. Do you understand that?
I'm highly intelligent, sir, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I deny counsel in this case. I've taken criminal justice classes, and I know my rights, and I've been seriously abused in prison. There's a hit out for me right now that I have proof for. I literally have proof on that, and there's a lot of foul play going on, and I would prefer to represent myself because I think that that's the best way to go in this matter. So I'm not trying to be disrespectful to the council or to you, Your Honor, but I feel like this is the best way for me to be free and to let everybody know what's happening and to carry on.
Again, reiterate to you, sir, that that's not a right that most people exercise because it can do you more harm than good if you're in court and have a prosecutor who is, of course, a trained attorney presenting the case for the people of the state of California, and you may have a feeling that something isn't right, but you don't know how to present your objection or what ground for objection. And these are things that the attorneys, in this case your attorney, would understand. In any event, I will have you fill out paperwork to take a look and see if you have any issues that would be a question to me on representing yourself. But the facts of this case are such that I strongly recommend that you reconsider that wish. I think you're creating more of a handicap for yourself than a benefit.
I understand your opinion, and I respect your opinion, Your Honor. I never agreed to counsel, and counsel hasn't listened to me. And I would prefer to represent myself, and I trust that God will help me in this case because I'm in the right.
All right, well, let's have you fill out the paperwork on the request for self-representation, and I'll recall the matter in a little while. All right.
Yes, sir.
All right. What's our status with regard to the self-representation issue.
Your Honor, he has declined my services.
Several attempts on my life in the jail, and I want to represent myself so I can have this case go as fast as possible. Because if I get sent back to jail today, I'm going to get killed. And I have evidence that there's a hit on me and that the police are involved. And they've already tried to kill me. And they keep trying to make me get a lawyer that's going to delay things to send me back to jail so I'll get killed. And I don't appreciate that. And I don't think it's fair that this is happening. There's evidence that they tried to kill me when they arrested me. I literally had to go to the hospital when they arrested me when I was fine. I don't want to go back in the police custody. I want to just do the trial now. I don't want an attorney. And there's a hit out on me, and I have proof. It's on social media. And if I have an attorney, he's going to try to delay things to send me back on the prison bus, and they're going to kill me. And
Well, sir, you have to understand something. Your attorney isn't the person that controls whether you stay in custody or not.
Well, I understand that, but he can delay things and make me go back to jail so he can come up with more of a case, and they're going to kill me in transport.
Well, all right, sir. Are you, is your concern your safety at the jail, or is your concern the competence of your attorney?
Both. It's both.
Well, your attorney certainly doesn't have the control over whether you stay in custody or not.
I understand that, but I don't know if he has my best interest in mind and my religious beliefs say. Since I'm innocent, I should be able to represent myself, and I have those constitutional rights, and everybody's been fighting me for weeks about that. And I don't understand why you need to fight me over a constitutional right. Everyone decides if I'm innocent or guilty. I say that I'm innocent. I don't need an attorney. I think that we should just go through this right now and decide if I'm innocent or guilty without an attorney and let the jury decide. Isn't that the Constitution?
Well, you're summarizing it pretty well, except that it doesn't happen on the timeline that you are requesting.
Okay, well, if I get sent back to jail today, they're going to kill me. There's been several attempts on my life. I've been to the emergency room, and then I wasn't treated properly at the emergency room, so I had to leave early because they were trying to kill me there. And I have evidence of it. Why would I need to go to the emergency room after an arrest? When I got arrested, they handcuffed me. They didn't read my Miranda rights. They threw me in a cop car with the heat on, with the windows up, and I was yelling, I can't breathe. And until I almost passed out and I was hyperventilating, and then they took me to the emergency room. The police have been trying to kill me. And I don't appreciate how no one's believing me and how they just want to send me back to jail again. It's literally a systematic system where there's a hit out on me right now, and there have been several attempts on my life. They tried to kill me in my jail cell. They didn't give me a mattress. They took my shoes away. They didn't give me toilet paper. Like this is getting really, really, really ridiculous, and I don't really understand why you guys think that you can treat somebody that way and just expect them not to tell anybody what's going on. I've had a guard come to me before in the middle of the night several times saying, if you go to sleep, I'm going to go in there and kill you. And he kept checking on me every 5 minutes. I've had other guards tell all the inmates to go kill me because I'm a traitor to the black people for killing my children. And rob up all the inmates. And I know you guys want to send me back there because everybody wants to collect on their head. And it's on social media. And everybody knows about it. And the number one way that you kill somebody is through transport. And I think council is going to delay things to get me sent back to prison or to the county jail, and I'm going to get killed. So I want the jury to decide now on the evidence that they have, and let's get things rolling. Because the longer things go, the more there's going to be more attempts on my life.
On one thing, and somehow I think you feel that by me saying you can represent yourself, that your custody status is going to change. That you'll suddenly not have to go back down on the bus to county jail or be housed there until the next court appearance. And that's not for the attorney to decide. That's something for the judge to decide after hearing from you or your attorney and the prosecutor. I haven't heard from them yet on that issue, but that's the issue. I'm a little concerned that you're not really focused on the issues that would allow you to effectively represent yourself. You're totally focused on the things that you've just told me about. Go ahead, sir.
Anybody that has had as many attempts on their life as me and has been tortured in jail the way that I have, we want things to go as quickly as possible. And I don't trust the council. I think that they're going to delay things and send me back there longer and ask for motions for all types of things to delay things. I don't really think that they have my best interest in mind. I think I have my best interest in mind, and I think God will protect me. And I think that if I go back to that place, I already know that there's going to be more attempts in my life. I have evidence of this. You can subpoena records and show that I didn't have a mattress for almost a week. I didn't have a blanket. I was almost froze to death there. And I don't really understand why it's so hard for me to get my constitutional right for me to represent myself when it's a constitutional right. And we're in America and we follow the Constitution. And I'm a highly educated person and I understand everything, and for some reason everybody wants to convince me that I don't have constitutional rights.
Well, sir, I'm certainly not trying to say that. You do have a right under the law to represent yourself, assuming you're competent. And I have a question about your competency, to be quite frank with you, because you seem to be totally focused on your current situation in terms of being in custody.
Because they're trying to kill me. Well, you would be focused on your situation too if they were trying to kill you. It's a lie. I'm a human being. I'm supposed to ignore that there's been several attempts on my life. I'm just supposed to ignore that. And I know for a fact that you guys send me back to Twin Towers, I'm not going to be coming back to court. They're going to be planning my funeral. And I don't know why no one is listening to me. When I have proof and evidence, it's even on social media. My brother was trying to claim a hit on me. My own brother. And it's on his social media account. And the cops are trying to claim a hit on me too. And they're trying to rob my inmates. And you tell me that I can't focus on that when I have all that going on?
Well, I'm sure you can focus on that, sir, but the question is, can you focus on the things you need to do procedurally in the court?
There's nothing I need to do procedurally in the court. There's evidence there. The jury decides on the evidence, and my constitutional right is to defend myself. And I'm saying that I'm not guilty. So the jury should be the ones to decide if I'm guilty or innocent. And they're the people.
Right.
And honestly, you can tell that I'm very intelligent and I have a complete understanding, so I don't understand what the delay is.
You have a right to a speedy and public jury trial. Do you understand what a jury trial is?
That's what I'm trying to get right now. That's exactly what I just said.
You understand we don't go directly out of this courtroom to another courtroom and start a jury trial. Do you understand that? There's a process that has to occur first. Do you understand that?
Yeah, but I think I'm going to be killed in the process. I have evidence. The police tried to kill me, and they're putting me back in police custody, and I have evidence. I literally have evidence. I have a medical record that shows what they did to me.
All right, sir.
There's more evidence. And
You have to understand
what they're doing. So, I mean, if you send me back there, that's my death sentence.
All right, sir. I think you're having trouble focusing on the fact that I'm trying to confirm that you understand your rights.
Well, I already said I understood them, and I signed for them.
Well, I saw your initials, and now I'm just going over it with you. Do you understand that?
Oh, yes, sir. I don't feel like I don't feel like death threats on my life, or I don't feel like I have human rights right now. So it's hard for me to sit here and just calm down like this is a normal case when my human rights have been taken away. I don't think that it's fair. I'm a human being. Even if people think that I'm guilty, I'm a human being, and I have human rights. I shouldn't have to use a paper bag or my hand for toilet paper. Like, I don't understand. I shouldn't have to worry about guards trying to beat me. I shouldn't worry about the inmates saying that they're going to kill me if the guards are telling them that I'm going around murdering children. Why are my human rights being taken away and nobody cares?
Right. Let me explain something else to you, sir. And I mean it actually respectfully, but when the court is talking to you about certain things, you keep reverting back to the problems you're having at the county jail. And I'm not saying that you're not having those problems, but what I am trying to tell you is you're not being responsive to me. I need to go over some other things with you before I make a decision on how to proceed with you. And You've told me several times what your problems are, but I was asking you about a jury trial.
Well, I answered you before you asked the question. I did. And everybody looked at me and said, I'm record. There's a court reporter that wrote it down. So you know what I comprehended it.
Okay. If you wish to be representing yourself in court, sir, you have to be responsive to the questions that the court asks you. You have to give answers that are responsive. And I'm aware of your other concerns because you've stated them several times. Yeah. So do you understand exactly what a jury trial is? Right, tell me, what do you think is a jury trial?
There's 12 jurors, and they deliberate and decide if they're guilty or they're innocent.
Right. And do you know how they're picked?
They're picked randomly. I was on a jury, I was selected to a jury last month. They sent me, I had a jury duty notice and I didn't have to report. I know, and I've already had to do jury duty before. I understand exactly what it is. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I have a question, sir. Is there any chance, since there's a hit on me and my life is in danger, that I can be on house arrest because I'm fearful for my life and I have proof that the police already tried to kill me? And I can show you the proof right now?
Well, sir, I'm not addressing that issue right now, but I'll let you be heard on that in just a little while, okay?
Yes, sir. I feel like if you send me back to Twin Towers and don't get me house arrested, I'm a dead man. So I don't think it really matters how the case is going to go. Where the last time there's a hit on my life and the police and the inmates are trying to collect, including my family members. So if there's not going to be a trial, I'm going to be dead. It's a hit for millions of dollars. And I don't think you're taking me seriously about it. And I think it's kind of offensive because there's literally a hit for my life. What is the trial going to do when I'm dead and 6 feet under the ground? I'm not really concerned about the trial. I'm concerned about this hit because they've already tried to collect. I'd have to go to the emergency room court. They have denied me albuterol at the prison, and I have asthma. And I'm on the court asking for air, saying, "Where's my albuterol? Can I please have it?" And they brought it to me the next day. So I already know, like, there's not going to be a trial. I'm going to be, when I get sent back, I'm dead. So you're telling me things that don't matter to me. Right now, I don't need counsel, and I'm not going to need counsel in the future. And I think that you're not taking me seriously about the hit, and you think that there might be a trial, and I have proof that I shouldn't even be here now, because they've already tried to collect. If there wasn't witnesses around, they would have never let me out of that cop car. And I said I couldn't breathe. They were ignoring me, trying not to make eye contact with me. And the inmates know in transport that they can get to me. And there's not going to be a trial. There really isn't. I'm going to be dead. I shouldn't be here right now. There's been so many attempts on my life. I shouldn't be here right now. So I'm just telling you, you're telling me to be concerned about things that are minor. And it's like, I'm not really concerned with that. I'm concerned with my life because they're trying to kill me.
You know, sir, I don't want to trample your right to self-representation, but I at this time have a doubt as to your ability to competently represent yourself. I think you're totally fixated.
I honestly think you're going to say that, and I understand what you're saying. And honestly, I don't know who's involved with the hit that the police are going to try to kill me. I mean, there could be a chance that you are in on it as well.
Well, I can assure you that I'm not. At this point, sir, I actually have a doubt of your mental state, and I'm suspending proceedings under 1368 of the Penal Code, referring the matter for an evaluation to bring you back to court on this, and we will determine the issues going forward.
After a thorough investigation, authorities also arrested the children's mother, Natalie Brothwell. She was also charged with 2 counts of felony murder, and 2 counts of felony child endangerment. Sometime after Maurice was arrested, she moved to Tucson, Arizona. She was being held at the Pima County Jail pending extradition back to California. Both Maurice and Natalie's bail was set at $4.2 million. Lancaster Mayor Rex Harris made a public statement saying, "The social fabric of this country and the world has been shredded, and we are starting to see the aftermath. What I'm seeing is more and more people feeling desperate, and that can only have one result. Several of Maurice's clients told reporters that he was a very hard-working trainer who was very patient with his clients. One client who wants to remain unknown said Maurice had been working from home due to the pandemic. She said he was reliable, mellow, and responsive. The client said she knew something bad had happened because Maurice did not send out a training schedule for the week's Zoom sessions, and he couldn't be reached. She said she called the sheriff's department early in the week and also the property manager. She said she feared carbon monoxide poisoning. Howard Kern, a lawyer and writer, who also took Maurice's Zoom classes, said he called the Los Angeles County Fire Department on Friday morning. He said he told them he was concerned of a possible gas leak. Kern said he believed Maurice had been on his own since he was 18, and felt he was under a lot of pressure. He said throughout the years, he knew Maurice faced many challenges. He said his marriage was contentious. Kern discussed how Maurice often received calls from his wife while working out with his clients. He said it was very embarrassing. You could hear her screaming at him on the phone. Maurice would be very apologetic, but she'd keep screaming at him. He also said, think of the nicest person you know and multiply it by 5, that's Maurice Taylor. He said Maurice worked hard to support himself and his family. He said he didn't know if Maurice is guilty, but the Maurice that he knows was a very kind and gentle man. He was known as a loving father and devoted family man. An anonymous neighbor said that the atmosphere around their house over the years was just weird. He said he never saw anyone come out of the house. Another neighbor said that a putrid smell had been coming from the home for several days, and that he recently heard screams coming from the house. A former neighbor said, I remember when each of the 4 kids were born, and I remember the excitement there was surrounding them. As they grew up, it was obvious they had a sense for adventure and new experiences, even at a young age. Malika was very smart, very adventurous and observant. She really would have grown to reach her potential. She continued saying, Maurice Jr. looked up to his big sister, and admired all she did. I'm sure they stuck very close to each other as they grew older, and I know they were together in the end. I will always remember their smiling faces. A trial date is pending the results of the competency test. What would drive a father to kill his own flesh and blood? Dr. Paul Applebaum, professor of psychiatry at the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Columbia University, says there's limited research on fathers who kill their children. He says parents who kill their kids fall under 2 broad categories. First is mental illness such as psychosis or depression. Dr. Applebaum says that the father believes he can't provide for his children. He feels by allowing them to live would be condemning them to a life of unhappiness and poverty. The second category is usually associated with a history of child abuse of the children. The father may have anger issues. When he murders his children, his anger goes too far. Experts believe during the COVID pandemic that spread throughout the world, people who were completely locked down in their homes experienced a greater negative effect to their mental health. Before COVID, parents would go to work while the children went to school or daycare, and everyone came together for a short period every day before bedtime. During COVID, people became trapped in the same homes hour after hour every day. Problems were forced to the surface, and frustrations rose. Experts report that during the pandemic domestic violence increased dramatically. At some police stations, during the COVID crisis, reports were in 3 times higher. It's believed that when families are stuck at home with an abusive parent or partner, the violence will increase, and be far more dramatic than ever before. The COVID pandemic was collectively damaging to mental health. There's no vaccine for mental health. It may take years before we heal from the damage from the COVID pandemic. Maurice Taylor Sr. murdered his 2 older children, then forced his younger children to look at the bodies. What would drive a man to murder his own children? Was these murders a direct result of the COVID pandemic? Or was it an angry abusive father who was good at hiding his abuse from his friends and neighbors? Or could it be that his wife Natalie was more involved in the killings than we know at this point? Either way, it's a shame that a parent, be it mother or father, can take the lives of their own children. What is this world coming to when a child isn't safe in their own home? May Madalina and Maurice Jr. rest in peace, and their younger siblings get the therapy they need to move on from this terrible tragedy. This video's scavenger hunt clue is the letter I like Idu. That concludes this episode. Keep your eye out for the next volume, coming soon. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.
Want to help support the channel you love, and get something in return? Simply purchase some Elizabeth's Chronicles merch. We have coffee mugs, t-shirts, sweatshirts, cozy blankets, beach towels, phone covers and more. Use the coupon code EC10OFF4U and get 10% off your order. The link to order is in the description area below this video. Thanks for helping Elizabeth's Chronicles continue to make the videos you love.